So here's where we're at. One after a year-long break, will be the first time I've been Legend since it was either July or August last year. So it's been a while. My bonus stars had decayed. I think I was still, then coming up the hard way, starting at Platinum 5. Just 1 star at a time, 2 stars for a win streak. Of course, no win streak after you get the Diamond 5, so it's been a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a slog, it's actually been going pretty well. Hand Buff has been a really good deck for me, and so has Corpsicle DK, so it hasn't been too bad. So I'm interested, number one, can I actually get to Legend, because this is going to be, I think, the 3rd, or maybe the 4th time that I've fought the final boss to get to Legend. Obviously, I lost the other games, but every single time I'm in a promotion game to Legend, I get Death Knight, and I feel like I lose to Reska every single time, and it's almost always a Reska that was created by Frost Strike. Which created by was the whole reason why I wanted to take a break from Hearthstone in the first place, so we'll see how it goes. I think Hand Buff Paladin's going to get me across the finish line. It's pretty strong. So I'd like to see a Druid. I don't want to see a Death Knight. Druid tends to be a pretty easy matchup for Hand Buff Paladin, based on what I've seen. Oh, and we get a Hunter. I think it's a free win. This is the first Hunter that I've played.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I don't even know what people are playing for Hunter. I think it's Secret Hunter. I'm definitely keeping these two guys. I don't know, man. Supposedly this is a keep, but I don't know if it is or not. I'd rather have like an audio medic. But it is going to get buffed and I can play it on 3, so I guess I'll keep the Tigress plushie here. Got the Leroy for some finishing power. Looks like they're also buffing. And I'm tempted to actually just coin here. Get on the board early and just start playing cards, start buffing. I mean, I could save the coin. I don't have a turn 3 play, but I've been pretty aggressively using the coin when playing this deck, and it's paid off pretty well. 61% win rate in like 70 games. And I'm going to just go ahead and buff again here. Turn 3 is going to be the instrument tech. Turn 4 is going to be equipping the weapon. And then turn 5, potentially the toy captain. And I think I'm just going to ignore the minion here. Actually draw the weapon. This is my only play anyway. That's a little bit scary. I don't know that I want to take all this damage. Maybe I do have to trade. So we'll do this first. I'm going to go face and let my opponent figure out the trades here. I'm not exactly sure what this Hunter deck is or what it does, as I actually just haven't played Hunter. It's the first Hunter I've played since I've come back. Right, they're going face. $13. I feel like I have to make some trades now. I've got to change my plan just a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and play the lifesteal guy. And I'm just going to remove both of their big things. So it's actually just a full trade. Hopefully we get healed again by this. At least once, hopefully twice. We'll see how it goes. And then I've got a real 6, so maybe just turn 4 Virtue and see if we get a card that can... Ah, so we get an actual Reno out of that. That's really good. Really good for us. And then this is a really straightforward turn here.
Strike.
I'm actually thinking maybe I save this to have another big taunt. Because all of their damage is going to be... I'm not going to attack here either. All of their damage looks like it's going to have to come through the board or a weapon. So being able to have a taunt, it's going to be, by that point, a 7-11. I think it just wins the game on the spot here. Especially since they did nothing.
I strike.
I'm going to hit face. Play this guy, and then we're going to get the toy captain down. And that goes face. Other option would be to just buff this because it does have lifesteal, but I think we're more than fine as we are. I mean, this has lifesteal, we've got weapons, and yeah, that's it. Hunter just because they had a Hunter just not good. And yeah, you can see here, so I didn't know if MMR decayed over time or if it was just bonus star, so apparently it is both. So coming in just barely in the top 6,000 legend. And so now that I'm actually there, I think I want to play around with Plague DK a little bit more. I just really like Plague Death Knight. It's not a good deck. Probably never going to be a good deck because it's always a little bit of a dodgy prospect shuffling cards in your opponent's deck. Because you'll have games where you shuffle 10 Plagues and then they just never draw the Plagues, and so you lose. But I've been experimenting, trying different packages along with the Plague package to try to find what would be the best Plague Death Knight. And this is where I'm at right now, which really comes in as more of like a mid-range Plague Death Knight type of deck. You know, you play for tempo, you play a little bit more defensively, and try to start shuffling Plagues in the mid-game. So like in the mulligan, I'm looking for like the Dreadhound and Mining Casualties. And then I would also probably keep Helia unless it was a very, very aggressive matchup. And then you can keep buttons. Buttons guarantees that you would hit like a Frosty Decor to be able to play on 5. Of course, this gives armor, so it's a form of healing. But I'm not sure... Not sure if this is what I like or not. But I do want to give it a try. I like to experiment and try things for myself. Everybody says that Plague Death Knight is bad. Vicious Syndicate says it's bad, the stats say it's bad. And it probably is bad, but I want to make it as good as it can be. Just really like the deck. And at some point all the Plague stuff in Helia is going to rotate, and then you won't be able to play it anymore, so why not give it a shot? Hand buff Paladin, by the way, man, it's like a 62% win rate from Diamond 6 to Legend. It's pretty strong. So here again, like I don't necessarily want Plague stuff early in the game. I just want to make sure that I can fight for the board and not like take too much damage early. I don't even think I want the staff here just yet. So I'm going to throw all that away. Keep the Dreadhound. And certainly in this matchup against Priest, I would keep Buttons and Helia because I don't think they're going to be aggressively coming after my health total here. But so when I first started like attempting to find a better version of Plague Death Knight, I started off with the Vicious Syndicate version. And they had the Excavate package. And it felt like to me that the Excavate cards just weren't very good. Like it's, I don't know, it just didn't feel good. And it didn't feel powerful, and it didn't feel like it advanced my game plan at all. So I cut all of those and started including like more tempo-oriented things. So that's when like the Dreadhound got added, the Casualties got added. Just use this to draw and thin the deck a little bit. In this matchup especially, I think I want to get the Helia as quickly as possible. Oh, kitty cat. Please don't be turning off my computer. My cat likes to jump on my computer and somehow she lands directly on the button that turns it off. Which would be bad. No real sign yet of what kind of priest this is. I don't face too many priests either. I think we're still in the stage of the game where nothing really matters at this point. See, if I draw, I go to 9, stay on 9, could potentially overdraw here. So I'll probably just do this, Frost Strike, and then trade and kind of see where we're at. Get the Frost Strike first. So Reska is always the interesting option just because of how powerful it is. I do already have my natural copy in hand. I could think about Corpse Sickle. It's not that bad in this version of the deck because we are generating corpses, you know, with some of the cards that we have in here. We're already at 4. Just gives us a little extra damage. I think against Priest, I'm probably going to be wanting to play a little bit more for control. Like they could potentially have the Amon Fool, multiple copies of it. So I'm going to take the second copy of Reska here, just because of this matchup. And then I'll go ahead and start shuffling plays. Again, at this point of the game, I'm like just hoping that my opponent doesn't start to draw the plagues. I feel like winning this particular matchup, it's going to be a long game. So I don't really want my opponent to draw plagues until I can hit the Helia. And really wasn't expecting to see a Rustrot Viper. I think that's, since I've come back to Hearthstone, I've played like 100, maybe 150 games. It's the first Rustrot Viper I've seen. Get down the Decor and pass. Next turn I'll probably just go ahead and Marin the Manager, and I want to take the card draw, but I've got to get some other stuff out of my hand. Yeah, see, look at this, right here. And this was created by. Created by cards is exactly what did me in when I left Hearthstone 1 year ago. So we know they have a second copy, and that's exactly why I wanted a second copy of Reska. The problem is they're so expensive I can't play them, and this just sits on the board. You know, a year is a long time. My memory's a little bit fuzzy, but I almost feel like you're probably just better off conceding against Priest. I used to do that quite a bit. But we're gonna play it out. I've matured and grown as a person.
Relaxation for all, and all thanks to me.
Hey Eric, nice to see you. DK with buttons. Yeah, man, I'm trying to figure out a little bit better version of Plague DK. I don't think the deck is good. It probably doesn't have a lot of hope of being good, but it's just a deck that I personally find fun.
A curse of wrath upon you. It's really a legacy.
This is feeling like one of those games. I might quickly come to a point where I regret not instantly conceding, or conceding when I first considered the possibility. I could play the Yogg here and just take my chances. And hope that it isn't stolen by the Sylvanas. That's probably the only real option that I have.
Clever, aren't you?
Coin the Yogg and hope for the best. And at least several minions die, and it's going to make the Reska cheaper. Or do I just steal this? They could potentially silence it. Not as strong as some mid-range DK, I guess, but fun. Yeah, fun, man. That's, like I say, I like it. Corpsicle is probably significantly better than Plague DK. I just like shuffling the plagues, man, and it's always a really fun moment when your opponent draws like 6 plagues in a row and they die from 12 health or something late in the game. It's just hard to get to that point a lot of times. Maybe I'll get the steal there. Maybe I'll get to steal this. I guess it doesn't matter now. Steal the Sylvanas. Well, I did get it. And they got it back. It's a bit unfortunate. I guess it doesn't super matter. Actually a little bit low on health. I think my only option here is going to be to just go ahead and play the Ziliax. Trade for a couple of minions and get some healing. There's also still going to be the second copy of I'm, and we know it's in their hand because of the creation protocol, so they could just play it and then zap these out. They actually didn't even have to play it. This is a problem too long term. I think I've shuffled 1 plague in their deck. Helia is still hiding from me. Again, I come back to just feeling like the best option is probably to concede. But I can at least dump cards out of my hand now. To be able to draw with the Wondrous Wand. So there's the Helia, so I think at this point we're definitely just staying in the game.
You have earned an eternity of torment.
But there's still not very many plagues in our opponent's deck, and it's going to take a long time for them to add up as well. Still have the second copy of I'm, so I have to be careful about doing maybe something like this.
Top little Death Knight.
We only need
You
one.
pest.
I'm going to play the Frosty Decor. Maybe I can bait out the I'm. Second Rustrot Viper, so I only got 2 plagues total off of both weapons. A bit unfortunate. And then this just continues to make bigger and bigger minions, which is also unfortunate.
The citadel stands strong.
Let's try to clear up their board a little bit here. I'll just dump this out of our hand. We're gonna have to go... I mean, in order to actually kill them with plagues, and with such a low number of plagues, 10 more turns for us to be able to win. So I think it's... It's really quickly becoming a situation where a concede is probably just appropriate here. Majority of the play cards are hiding at the bottom of the deck. Right. Buttons is going to be good here. I'm going to use the first Reska, which I want to use the one in the left because this is the one that's from our deck. They won't know that we have the created Reska. I can just trade this, take the 8/8, and then maybe that's enough to bait out the I'm fool.
Take a good look. You ain't never seen a light. Very dead alive. My pain doesn't compare.
Just place stuff out on the board.
Any problem?
This is a problem as well. Hopefully they don't have some kind of a silence for the Baldir. My memory is correct, they have 7 plagues, so 7 out of 19 is plagues. Hey Seasons! Nice to see you, thanks for stopping by with the big old smiley face. I got a big smiley face too. I may have not been paying attention. I knew that they had 2 copies. I'm wondering now if they have at least 3 or 4. If they have 2 more of these, then there's definitely no way that we win. I'll at least be able to steal this one. If I can figure it out. Not the time for that. So I need to kill this. I got 1 drink here. It goes to 5. Boom, that's at 9. That's 7. Hero power and Reska, and I can steal that. Ventriloquism, impressive. That's not too bad. Now we have our own created by. Is there anything that I would want a copy of? Not really. Give me an overpowered legendary. Another Reska. So now we have even an additional one that they don't know about. And again, I'm just running into the problem. I don't have enough plagues in my opponent's deck. Some of my plague stuff is actually just hiding. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I'm gonna burn a card here too. That was really unfortunate. I was hoping I could hit like down with the ship.
Hand is too full.
Good burn for us though.
I didn't intentionally pursue leadership, but I find it quite suits me.
Still, I mean, this is the 3rd copy that's been played this game of I'm fool from our opponent. The kind of thing is just hard to swallow.
Over-eager.
The burn's not bad. I mean, Reska, I could just go ahead and trade for this and take something, but we're still pretty close to just being dead on board. 2 drinks. I've got a Frost
Clever,
Strike.
aren't you?
Nothing really in our deck that's going to help us. I'm almost at a point where I'm going to be jamming the golden kobold and hoping for some kind of a miracle. But I guess we'll start with this and see what happens.
Take a good look. You ain't never seen a light again.
I'm going to get the promise down just to eat the non-health, I think. And I'll just take the Soul Stealer.
Buried dead or alive.
Bunch of Thessalians. Hey, Uncorrupt, it's a delight to see you back again. HK, thank you so much. Glad you could stop by.
My hand is too full.
They finally draw a plague, and it's when they overdraw. So much of our hand is just worthless here. It's just about time to go to Golden Kobold.
Take a good look. You ain't never seen a
They
light
actually...
again.
They created one from Amon Fool as well. Hearthstone is testing my patience with all the created stuff, man. Woo! The good news is I don't really see that many priests, so it's not that big a deal. A year ago when I left, it was absolutely awful.
Do what the living cannot.
But they're taking my promise. It's not all that bad with the Soul Stealer here, but again, it's just hard to see a path to victory in this particular game. We're going to go into fatigue and they still won't be drawing plagues. In fact, I think I play this first so that it dies and shuffles in plagues so that I don't have to worry about silences and whatnot.
My pain doesn't compare to your pain.
It's a symptom of life.
They just continue to create more value out of this as well. This itself was created.
Hand is too full.
Oh my god. It's every turn. They just play one card, and they're going to burn all the plagues. They can even play no cards.
Hand and fight.
So they're on 9, this creates 10. I guess now we go ahead and concede because they're just never going to take plague damage because of this. So they created an Amon Fool, then they created whatever dragon this did, and now every single turn they're playing me like a scrub. But you know the key before you, well, I wouldn't call it rage quit, but you gotta threaten them first.
Taste my plague of scarlet rot flesh.
You gotta make sure that you know that they know how you feel. Alright, I want to get the plague decay again. It's an unfortunate game. If I would have queued up with Handbuff Paladin, I can win that. Like, it took so long for them to get in a position where we just felt like we couldn't win. With Handbuff Paladin, you just kill them with chargers. It's one of the things that makes that deck so strong.
To arms, my brave company.
Here against Druid, again, I don't want the plague stuff early. Druid does tend to draw a lot of cards. A couple of different versions that this could be, but with this version of Plague Death Knight, I've been throwing away all the plague stuff, except for Helia. In what tends to be a slower matchup. I don't even think I want to keep the Miracle Salesman. I am going to keep the Mining Casualties, though. Would like to see either a Helia or a Buttons in my opening hand, and then I would point it on 3. Swing and a miss as far as that goes. So one other interesting thing that I wanted to try with the Plague Death Knight deck is I actually cut out the Chained Guardians. I'm gonna hang on to the coin. Like, I might need to coin out something big later on, depending on how things go in this particular matchup. We coin the Frost Strike or casualties, but coin's gonna be more valuable later on, I think. Opponent hit the jackpot, can't do anything about it. Sadly, it's more common in Hearthstone now. Opponent discovering their way to win. So I gotta be honest, HK, I took a year off of Hearthstone, largely because of the created by. It just felt like it was winning too many games randomly, and I wasn't personally having fun, so I'm like, let me take a break. And then I didn't actually realize how long it had been until I came back. Like, I didn't know anything about Hearthstone, didn't look into it at all. I didn't even know that apparently an expansion just released not long ago. But I remember it being much worse. Like, Rogue was a really big offender, and it was also a popular deck at the time. That's not bad. That can slow down our opponents with the Frost Plague there. So we'll take it. Of course, the hero power on turn 3. That's pretty good for us. I would shuffle some plagues. So I remember it being worse, but I don't know. Maybe it got better at the rotation, and now it's starting to get worse again with the creation. I'm not too up on that, but I know just for me personally, I really just didn't enjoy that stuff on the board and punch him in the face. I am going to hold the weapon swing here, just in case I need to hit something. If I had the other weapon in hand, I would probably swing. But the 1 damage might matter. I have to trade for something on the board. Like if they play the 3/4 with taunt.
I know my strength.
Do they have double swipe? No, but they still clear the board. For all intents and purposes, they clear the board. It's like a pretty straightforward turn. Probably Frost Strike and this guy. And honestly, I just want to draw cards. But I'm going to get this minion in play first, and again, I'll hold the weapon swing here.
Relaxation for all, and all thanks to me.
Can't say it got worse or better since a year ago, but certainly did not and will not go away with how the game's direction has been going. And that's exactly how I felt, man. All of last year, leading up into July and August, that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, this is the game that the developers want, and I'm not enjoying it. So I stepped away and played other stuff. This trade definitely happens. Just gonna draw again. Here. And I should probably just go ahead and draw. There's a Reska. And we actually get Marin, so next turn I may just go ahead and play this.
Stay alert.
And then work on drawing some free cards. Poisonous 2/3 is nice. It may not survive, though. This isn't like a super threatening minion, and it's not like I'm worried about dying, but it does help you clean up something if it survives. Alright, they hit some plagues. Again, I mean, the Frost Plague, you know, they take a little damage, the Frost Plague, but they have access to healing, and I would rather them not draw plagues until we get the Helia down, but the Helia potentially is going to be bottom of the deck. And I may actually have to... That's a really strong turn. That's actually like a game-winning turn from the position we're in, I think, because 12, 19, 24.
Wars are not won without
I can throw a Reska and hope that I can buy a turn until I can coin the Yogg. If I Frost Strike here, it leaves me with 5 mana. This dies, and that goes down to 5.
For glory!
So we'll do that. None of these are really all that good.
My turn ends here. Good, but you ain't never seen a merry
One of these guys, since they've got the most attack. And unfortunately, I didn't steal the Ziliax here, but yeah, I hear you. Highly recommend to take a break every now and then in today's Hearthstone. Yeah, you got to, man. It's the only way you can maintain your sanity. Although, some of these decks are like a non-issue if you're playing a powerful deck yourself. So like where I'm playing Plague DK right here, I should probably reasonably be expecting to lose anyway. So sometimes I think you can bring that frustration on yourself. So this is almost a game-winning play of its own. I can still coin the Promise, but like I can't coin the Yogg to clear the board. And then if I coin the Promise, I'm only going to have 8 mana the following turn. But this is really the only option that we've got. And then they likely have their own Yogg, which they're just going to steal our Primus anyway.
Remnants of life.
Soul Stealer can potentially save us depending on what happens. Yeah, so they're going to mind control. Push everything face. We've got the Soul Stealer, but we're going to be extremely low health. Didn't even know what that was. Reduce the cost and attack of your minions in your deck by 1. Which they may not even care about the attack of their minions.
Frost.
How much damage is this?
Of the bitter.
7, 12, 15. We're dead to Swipe. We're dead to Corpse Sickle as well. The created by Corpse Sickle, by the way. Created by the Primus. Alright, let's get back to a deck that wins games.
Curiel versus Nemzi.
Let's have some fun!
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I don't like any of this. Against Warlock, I'd be expecting an aggressive deck here. Yeah, that's unfortunate that these are in our starting hand, but at least we're going first. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoy the game more than you did before the break. I do. I've actually been having quite a bit of fun since I came back. Opponent does nothing, and that's actually a pretty good draw for us.
I smell gold together.
We need to hit like a
Keep on panning.
instrument tech. I'd rather have the tech than the weapon, I think. Maybe Insanity Warlock. Haven't hit any buff cards except for Rune Tech. Magnetic and Taunt. I'm just going to attach both of these to the guy that can attack here. Hit my opponent in the face as hard as I can. This list is actually, it's the Vicious Syndicate list for hand buff Paladin, with the exception of their list has the Paladin Legendary that turns into a location. I think it's called Sankazel or something like that. I don't actually have that card, so I just threw in a Rune Tech. Now that's another thing. Here's the tech. My options aren't very good here, though. And if I do this, trade everything, that doesn't seem like the right thing to do. I think I actually trade nothing.
Reporting for duty.
Keep on panning.
But taking a year off, unless you're going to spend a boatload of money when you get back, your card collection goes to the wayside. So when I left, I had every standard card, and I would buy like the pre-bundle, whatever you call that thing. I would get the mega bundle, and then I would have enough gold to be able to buy packs. And between that and Dust and everything else, I'd have a full standard collection. Now, because I missed a couple of expansions, some kind of weird version of hand lock. Because I missed those expansions, now my collection isn't what I would have hoped. What am I doing here? Probably just need to play the weapon. Maybe even trade with this guy. It's gonna have to eat the damage. Hopefully I draw some of my lifesteal minions.
I strike.
The battle.
Trade like that and pass.
Keep on panning.
So we do have an audio medic now. That'll help us get our health back up. But I'm missing a lot of cards in standard. But I think, you know, in a case like this with that Paladin minion, it's not that great of a card. And it's easy to find a substitute. And I think that it's like that for a lot of decks. I still have a lot of Dust too, but I don't want to just go through and start crafting like crazy. If I swing first and then Rune Thack, the Rune Thack will survive. It's going to force my opponent to have to do something about it.
I strike.
The Arian is slain. Our rallying cry.
And then I'll try to protect my minion. I think I want to hang on to these guys for like a finisher. That's 9, 14, 16. I actually have lethal next turn if I just hold on to these guys, assuming no taunt, no healing, and whatnot. Nice seeing you back, Uncorrupt. Hopefully you rack up some wins. It's nice to see you too, Chaos. Largely depends on the deck. You can see with this deck, almost a 62% win rate. If you play good decks, you'll rack up wins. If you play Plague DK, you'll rack up some losses in a hurry. And you'll also be complaining about created cards because you just wanted to be a hipster and didn't want to play a good deck.
Whoa! Too many cards!
Oh boy. So now we don't have lethal. If I swing first, these guys no longer have charge. And I'm 1 mana off being able to buff with this guy. Yeah, that's 8 mana. Grom Street would have been lethal. Didn't hit that. So I'm in kind of a weird spot now, as far as what I want to do. I guess I'll just forge this guy. Play him out. Of Warlock. It's some kind of hand lock. I have no idea what's in the deck or what my opponent is trying to do. Hopefully they can't kill me from 20. Let's see, that's 13. That's 20. They do have access to healing here, though. Are they dead? I think they're dead here.
You have a fraction of my power.
Actually, they may not be dead.
To battle.
Oh, they are dead. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! Overwhelming power. Oh my god. Man, that's tough. I just won a game at rank 6,000. I only gained like 100 ranks. That's a sign that your MMR is not in a good place. That is not a good sign.
Watch your step. I stand for Friends of the Light.
I think I'm keeping the Ziliax here. Against Rogue. There's, man, the Rogue shenanigans. Keeping the Ziliax. Double Outfitter. Hopefully I can hit like an instrument tech. Or even the weapon itself. To be able to buff this even a few more times before I actually play it, and then just hope that my opponent hasn't created something that can remove two of these guys. There's the weapon. I'm just going to get minions on the board and punch face here. Spend mana, play tempo. Playing in Dumpster Legend as well, at least I can mess around with various decks. Yeah, I mean, you could mess around with any deck you wanted to, even if you're in rank 1 or top 10. I mean, who cares what your Hearthstone rank is? As long as you're having fun. That's why I like to sneak in a few games of Plague DK here and there. Rogue shenanigans doesn't bother me as much as Druid ramping. Rogue hasn't seemed as bad since I came back, just because there's not very many people playing Rogue. And honestly, I would say, outside of that Priest game that I played just a little bit ago, Death Knight. It's so good. I can play this next turn, draw a bunch of minions while I have the weapon equipped into a turn 6 huge Ziliax. So it's pretty likely that I'm going to get either a minimum of one of the deckhands or Leroy, and then I'll have some finishing damage as well. Opponent continues to do nothing. It's usually when they go crazy, though. Willpower. I probably do need to kill this next turn because it has spell power now. Or at least kill it before I put the Ziliax down. It's like, this is going to be big enough that it just ends the game. We draw cards. I'll go ahead and make this trade. Another weapon. And unfortunately, nothing that can actually charge into our opponent's face.
Repent.
Take spell power off the board. But yeah, I feel like every time I play against Death Knight, there's always a created Reska. And man, I had one game, like, oh, that doesn't look good. My opponent created a Reska, and then they had like the 1-2 amalgam that keeps stats that shuffles back into your deck, and then they had Tail and Foraging and Death Growl. So they ended up with a Reska that would attack, die, steal a minion, go in their deck, and then immediately be drawn from the Tail and Foraging Death Rattle. They got all those Death Rattles onto the Reska. So they just had literal infinite Reskas. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, is this really an interaction that should be in Hearthstone?
You have earned an eternity of torment.
Alright, that doesn't matter at all. Other than maybe Frost Plague messing up our mana a little bit. They're gonna do it again. It's just so slow. We may not even draw a Plague this entire game. We have 10. Yeah, see, we have 10 damage. If I had gotten Leroy... Still no Leroy. That thing scares me a little bit. I should probably just kill it. And then get down the huge Ziliax.
I strike.
And wish our opponent good luck here. Infinite Reska was from the recent Chump HS video. Yeah, so I didn't actually see that video. And that particular game, I left that 1-2 on the board because I didn't know what was going on. If I had known that that was a thing, I would have just killed it. But I didn't, and then I saw all that stuff happen, and I'm like, huh? What the heck is this? It's wild, man. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, and of course, you know, if you've seen my videos and watched me play Hearthstone, I'm sitting here like, what is Death Growl doing in their deck? It's such a bad card. I can't believe they're playing this. What's going on? Hearthstone sucks. What are the devs doing? And then I thought to myself, I need to relax, man. I got Hearthstoned. Stuff like that has happened since the game released, what, 10 years ago? But man, it was rough.
Let the Badlands.
Did we just win, or is something crazy going on here? We win. Alright, so we gained like 200 ranks on that one. That's not bad. The only thing about the Paladin deck, it's really strong, winning is fun, and, you know, simple-minded people like me, when you see those big numbers and big minions hitting the board, so it's very entertaining, but man, it's just boring to play, man. Like, if you're gonna jam down 100 games of this, man, you get bored in like the first game or the first couple of games. But the deck is just so strong. If you're looking for wins, I would definitely recommend this Paladin deck, Hand Buff Paladin. I like it even better than, and again, like when I haven't looked to see if there's a Vicious Syndicate report today, assuming it still comes out on Thursdays. Again, I'm like totally out of touch.
I must protect the wild.
But in the one that they had up 2 weeks ago, we're not keeping the weapon here. Am I keeping the plushie? I almost think I am. Like, I think I even coined this out on 1 since we're against Druid. Coin on 1, 2, find something, play this on 4 with a buff. I think I like it. Against Druid, I feel like just trying to build an early board and pressure your opponent's health total early is the way to play the matchup. With the toy captain as well. I'm just gonna do it. This, honestly, this is a play that I make a lot with this deck, not just against Druid, but actually just coining this out early. Because the way I look at it, every single minion that gets a 1/1 buff is like cheating 1 mana. So So if I play all these cards, I've effectively cheated 4 mana this game. Now I'm going to get down to 3-4. I'm going to go ahead and get down to 3-4. Next turn, we draw the weapon. And then on turn 4, I can actually just equip the weapon and continue to buff my stuff. Or if I wanted to, I could go ahead and play one of these guys. Might actually be better to play one of these, the weapon, a little bit later. Just try to maintain that strong board presence and deal some damage in my opponent's face. Here's another card that I don't know what it does. I'm gonna have to read it after it's in the log here. That's interesting. I could just throw this down. It puts a minion on the board and it buffs everything. Like, maybe I actually just press my board advantage and not so much trying to get the weapon. I'm going to do it. It spends mana a little bit better. I've got a turn 4. I've got a turn 5. Potentially, I mean, it makes it more likely there's a minion on turn 5. I can go ahead and play this and have 2 5/9s. We're gonna make it happen. I'm even gonna take the trade here. So we lost our potential to have our turn 5 here, but again, it's going to continue to press it advantage on the board. And hopefully our opponent doesn't have like double swipe or something here at some point. Even if they had it, like I could go weapon next turn, and then on turn 6,
What's your dream
a couple of big minions. So I think we're more than fine. Druid's just an easy matchup for this deck. That ends up being really good for him that they had that. Going to be quite a bit of healing, but ultimately we're still just fine here. Again, my chargers, though, are hiding from me this game. Glad to see less Reno warriors as well. Oof. Reno warrior doesn't sound very fun. I feel like... So I started playing like the last week of July. Maybe even like the last day of July. And for some reason it felt like I was playing against a lot of control warrior. And the deck felt really good. I'll just go ahead and do this. Maybe I just go ahead and buff it first for the stats. It's a little vulnerable to swipe if I do it like that. I'm gonna do it like this. It also lets me like push the most amount of damage base. I mean, I guess it's not vulnerable to swipe. This would die. But this is going to allow me to keep the most possible damage on the board. I just give up a Divine Shield. Here's the Reno. That's unfortunate. And that's really unfortunate.
I strike.
It's just in a position where we're starting over here. But yeah, the Ziliax warrior, man, it's like they would play Ziliax and then there's just a never-ending army of Ziliax coming down because they could resurrect it so much. And then all of a sudden I just stopped seeing that deck. Man, our opponent has drawn like all of their most powerful cards. He had a good start too. I mean, when you think about all the stats on the board, Reno just totally wiped it out. And I can't actually get to this to be able to kill it is the other issue. Maybe I can. It depends on how the mana works out. 8. 6. No, I can't get there. They don't have many cards, so hopefully that's just more of like a tempo play. And they don't actually have a lot of stuff. So I can actually kill that. With my rushers here, so I need to spend mana appropriately. Let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6, and forge this. Play that last so it gets the lifesteal. 4, 6, forge.
You have a fraction of my power.
To perfection.
Almost goofed.
Feel that healing beat. Step to this.
Just don't have a way to really be able to finish him. Maybe I can hit like some kind of card draw here on the top deck. So they're going to replay, what's that thing called? New Heights. I don't know exactly what's in this deck, so I don't know if they still have like more powerful cards that they can play, or if they're just kind of a little bit out of gas now. That's pretty good. It's not great, but it's good. Deal damage and gain armor. Cleared the board, and because we don't have card draw, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, man. The Reno is what totally did me in. It'd be an interesting game to go back and take a look at. Maybe I didn't have to play all that stuff on the board. I wasn't expecting the held back a little bit so that I had a couple of bigger minions to be able to play after the Reno. Looks like I get a chance to avenge myself here.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I'm gonna toss the plushie this time. I like to see the tech. I don't like to see one of the weapons, though. Hopefully I don't draw the other weapon before I get a chance to play this. At that point, it's like you're upside down in your deck. I want to get the weapon first. Imagine you play this, and then it top decks the weapon, and then you're stuck with a 1-2 that does nothing. Although the good thing is with this particular deck, at least this can get buffed if it does get stuck in your hand if you've drawn both of these. Don't mind that a bit. Get down the card draw. Try to maximize the cards in our hand that are getting buffed. That's nice too. I'll be able to swing 3 times, so this will have 3 buffs by the time I play it on turn 6. Doesn't necessarily end the game against Druid though. If they're able to ramp, sometimes they can have like Ziliax in time to be able to answer this, or Yogg, or you know, something pretty powerful. They didn't ramp though, so that's good. I want to make sure that I grab the weapon here that they saw me draw from the instrument tech, so they won't know that I have the second one in hand. That may not actually matter, but it's still the correct way to play it. And realistically, I'm not sure how many people actually keep up with like what card comes from where. Deck trackers will do it for you. I've got all those options turned off, and I don't really pay close enough attention to track it. But if you wanted to, you could even just eyeball it. And then certainly if you got all the options on in your deck tracker, you'll know like what came from where. Ooh, they actually, they didn't ramp because they played this dragon first. That's interesting. And actually really good news. I think
Light guide my
I'm
patience.
tempted to get the card draw down. Again, just to draw more cards to be able to buff. It's also going to be a 5/5. Other option would be to just remove this. Either way, I'm floating a mana because I'm not going to play this guy.
I strike.
So I think I'm going to go for the card draw here. Send you face. Impact isn't bad. Yeah, so we get like some other buffs here to be able to buff this guy. Maybe we can hit like a Taylor. The other haha. Oh, that would be good stuff to have in our hand with all the buffs. But turn 6 is just going to be make sure I swing first and then get down the 7/9. 2 7/9s at this amount of mana. There's not going to be a whole lot they can do. Even if they ramp here, they'll be on 7 mana the following turn. And this looks like Concierge Druid, so I don't think they're going to have enough to be able to kill the Ziliax. And we get the Leroy to be able to start buffing it up. That's good. So I'm going to go there. We play the Ziliax. And I'm just going to punch face. We are going to overdraw. Oh, no, we're not. That's right. Because I attack, this doesn't draw. I was going to say we overdraw 1, but even if we did, it wouldn't matter. That'd be perfectly fine in this situation. These guys go to 14 attack next turn, at the start of the turn. I like it. Is it a concede turn? They're only on 6 mana. Even if they 14, and then I've got a weapon and rushers, chargers.
The best you comes under the hardest
Oh, they're just dead. I wonder if they even... I mean, surely, I was going to say, surely they realize that these cards are going to double attack, and that they're just dead on board. They just couldn't do anything. So that's how that matchup typically goes against Druid, and that's why this deck is so good into it. I do think the game before that I lost to Druid was a little bit of a throw. I needed to play around Reno and be more mindful of how much mana my opponent had.
Mine is the only way.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
Warlock here. I'm going to keep the plushie. I don't always keep this against Warlock, but we're on the coin. I can play it on 3, and it's going to be buffed. The thing that I've run into against Warlocks is if it's like Pain Warlocks, sometimes they hit the board so quickly and get so much damage on the board that you just die. And sometimes even like this 4-drop can end up being not a dead card in your hand, but just not good enough. Audio Medic is always a keep. So I can, again, I'll probably coin this out, and then I've got this on too. It's going to have Rush and Lifesteal. It does leave me a gap in turn 3. How else would I play it? 2,
Is here.
coin this on 3. Maybe I hold the coin here. Actually just tap, so this is fine. Salesman seems potentially more like Insanity Warlock. Yeah, you're right about that. I don't think Pain Warlock actually plays this. And that's definitely Insanity Warlock. The good news is, like with this deck, you just have access to so much healing.
I strike.
Although, they have quite a bit of healing as well and ways to not take damage. The fact that they've already played an Insanity makes me think that they have that Tide Pool Murloc in hand, because that's the card that you want to get back. I think I'm going to swing face, play this, and forge here.
I strike.
Not in that order, of course. Also, I've played a little bit of Insanity Warlock myself, and it seems very draw dependent. Like, sometimes you actually have to get down to your bottom 5 cards to be able to find a way to kill your opponent, especially if they're going to be high health, as we are. Might even be worth it just to buff this.
And now, the premiere act. Me!
And I kind of think it is. This turns into a 9/8. And I think at least the list I was playing can't remove one individual big minion. They don't have hard removal. Unless, if they had exactly the Popgar.
Light guide my
But even then,
patience.
I'd be playing like this. And the 1/1. This kind of sets up lethal.
I strike.
You're gonna love the way you look. Right down.
Steps of this!
They're only 11 cards deep. So they do have the Popgar. So they're not dead. Oh, I think they misplayed the order. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a full heal. Not full, but that's a heal. Okay. I'm gonna need to remove this. I forgot that Crescendo was a fail spell. And they had the second one. So that's where the removal comes from. Unfortunate. And only 11 cards deep in their deck, too. Unfortunate. It's starting to look more and more likely that we're just going to die here.
We're Matt and Elaine, founders of Chocolate Chocolate. Our dream was to build a sustainable
man.
chocolate company.
And our business is...
The rain has stopped. Unfortunate. Also an easy fix, though.
A symphony of darkness.
And now, the premiere act! Me! The urge is upon us!
So nothing with lifesteal, right? 15. Charge 6, 12, 18, 27.
I will not forsake you. Open your minds to the light.
Alright. Hotguard Crescendo is satisfying to pull off. It feels like a lifesteal Mordresh. Yeah. That's a lot of healing, man. It's like a full-on Reno. You think debuff the board? The interesting thing is, well, I guess I might just be dead here, but my minions can only take 2 damage at a time, so I'm not really concerned about their board. I am dead to the 8-8. Exactly. Yeah, maybe that was the play. Make all their minions 2/2 so that I can't take that much damage. I thought it would be enough to be able to buff the little mini Tigress, that I would get enough healing. But the 8 damage Crescendo coming through really hurt. I think I'm dead to... I would also be dead to the encroaching insanity. That would have been... I think I would have been dead if I had debuffed their
Who
board.
wants to play?
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I'm gonna keep the Ziliax here. Maybe not. Against Death Knight, sometimes they can get just like a very aggressive start, I feel like. And if you end up with too many things at like 6 mana in your hand, like if you get a bad draw, you can just get run over in the early game. Definitely not going to play the 2-1 here. I feel like with most decks, I would just go ahead and play this as a tempo play, but in this particular deck, it just doesn't make sense to do that. And in this matchup, you know, it dies to a hero power, but this thing's going to get pretty big. It could potentially be a finisher at some point. Or if they had like the mining casualties. So before we equip the weapon, turn 5, it might actually just be the card draw. Am I going to full trade here is the other question. I think I am.
I strike.
I'm going to draw a Frost Strike off of this, or possibly the Frosty Decor. Depending on what kind of list they're playing. May Frost Strike anyway. I'm gonna take the trade. Having Outfit Tailor and the Pirate gift buff simultaneously is so nice. Surprise lethal potential. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. And you can get, sometimes you'll have 2 of these guys in your hand getting buffed, and 1 or 2 of these.
I strike.
Just want to get this down. Draw some more cards here. And then turn 6, I guess it's just a Ziliax. So, and again, this is an option I have turned off in the deck tracker, but there haven't been enough minions die. Like, their Reska should still be double digits. So even this coming down as 2 6/8s is really big, and then potentially I finish him off over here. Although if I swing first, this doesn't have charge, so maybe I actually need to hold that weapon swing. How does the damage work out? They could also have Frosty Decor next turn. But this would be 20, so that changes things. So it's definitely not going to be lethal next turn. After you summon an undead, give it poisonous. I think I actually have to kill this. Which is unfortunate. But I think it is what it is. But imagine they have like Ghoul's Knight or something. Ghoul's Knight or Army of the Dead, something like that, and all of it gets poisonous. Like, I just can't afford to leave that on the board. Where's this guy? And I'm going to hold the weapon swing here. Just because I do have this charger. Let's see what happens. All I'd be doing is swinging to buff, and I don't necessarily have to have that buff this exact turn. Oof, and then there's another one.
Come in here! Toys are much more fun to bring!
Iron shield here.
The light dim.
19, and then 21 with the weapon swing after.
Mesmerizing melody.
Possible they're just dead here. That actually helps quite a bit because it removed the divine shields. Base, base, base. I like it. Come on, man.
Talk, little Death Knight.
They still have a Corpse Sickle, Trade, and then this. Which means it still wouldn't be lethal. A really powerful turn from him.
I found a sea urchin.
They roped it. Oh, they roped it. Wow. Sad for them.
You're gonna love the way you look.
I strike blast.
Blast. Man, I wonder how bad would it be if Hearthstone had like a some of the FPS games. I don't know if Call of Duty has it, but like when you die, you get a live mic for like 5 seconds or something like that. Like, how bad would that be in Hearthstone? That's probably a really bad idea for Hearthstone. Half the player base would be banned within the first day. At least half.
I must protect the wild.
I'd love to have that feature, but I agree that it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea, man. Whew. I feel like these days, though, like with AI and whatnot, they could have a list of like censored words, you know? So you could censor like profane language where if somebody says it into the microphone, the AI intercepts it and kind of like bleeps it out, just like when you're watching TV. And they could have a list of like all the slurs, profane language, all that kind of stuff. So that it wouldn't actually go through. Look at this, man. I like it. Even with only one buff, if they don't ramp, might end the game. I hear a lot about toxic friend requests from many people, which means adding Mike is going to be a very, very good idea. I don't know. I haven't had a friend request, I don't think, since I came back. Is it better to try to save this? No, right? I might want the poisonous later on something else. Plus, playing this thins the deck. Make sure I don't actually, like, draw it naturally. They do ramp here. So is the plan still Ziliax on 5? They're 5 mana. I'm on 4, they're on 6. When I'm on 5, they're on 7, and that's if they don't ramp again. Or do I go ahead and coin it out, start buffing? I don't have a super lot of minions in hand, though. Maybe I do have a lot of minions. Just go ahead and start buffing this stuff. Next turn I can swing again and like just put more stats on the board. Put this down as a 5/4. Plays right into swipe if I do that. Probably better off like... Ooh, and we got the other charger.
I strike.
To perfection. Don't break it.
Pushing the damage phase here. Seven, would be 9. Next turn swing and just re-equip. I think one of the other pitfalls, at least that I run into, I don't know if other people do, but sometimes I think you're better off just playing this as a big cheap minion on the board. Even if it doesn't have charge, like if they're big enough, like say this is like a 7/6, don't you just play a 1 mana 7/6? Like you don't have to save it for a charging lethal on a future turn. There's a swipe. So they did ramp again. Ooh, and we have that.
I strike.
So I hit here. Everything buffs. And then I can buff again with this. 11, 13, 15. This actually just sets up lethal unless our opponent does something.
Reporting for duty.
Unless our opponent has like the dragon. I don't even know the name of that card. But the rusher with a lot of health that has lifesteal. (11, 13, 15). Hero power would prevent the lethal in that scenario, though. Amount of mana, so that's a swipe. Okay, so it's actually exact lethal. If my math is any good.
I strike.
Oh, my math is spot on. Get out of here, antiques!
Carriers versus Hakar!
Uh-oh.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
It's another hunter, man. This... That's a little bit awkward. They misspelled their own name. I think I like keeping the toy captain. And I'm going to keep one medic, and then we're definitely keeping the instrument tech. It's actually a pretty good starting hand. I was surprised to see that the developers actually have these big charging lethals that this deck can do. I thought they were like trying to get away from that the last time that I was playing. So this is awkward, man. That secret is either going to be based on the one hunter that I played, which was actually like the first or second game of the stream. I think I said that right. Anyway, it's either going to be the one that draws cards, or it's going to summon the what is it, the 2-drop or the 3-drop if I spend all my mana. But I think I just want to play cards here. Like, just go ahead and draw with the instrument tech. I think I do. Yeah, it's a 3-drop.
Another tower down.
Deal 1 damage to a random enemy, and this thing has 5 health. That feels like a really good roll for them. Maybe it'll cause them to misplay. That's going to be more secrets. I think for the most part I don't care about the secrets.
I strike.
Just kill this over 2 turns as we buff our cards. Next turn it could even be like these guys. Draw the other weapon so that we don't get it off the top of our deck. And then on turn 6 I'm going to have like a big Terran and a big taunt. Oh, they're going to play the bear? Yeah, makes sense. I mean, this will survive. Not even really taking damage off of that, so it's not that big a deal.
I strike.
I think I don't mind taking damage here.
To perfection.
Feel that healing beat.
Take this trade. This continues to get buffed, but then... like, that's just going to be really strong. You could even... there any deck you miss playing prior to your break, or did I remember what I was playing when I left? I remember playing Titans decks, and the Titans were, you know, pretty cool. If it doesn't, it does die. Okay. None of that damage really matters. These, you know, I'm going to take the damage once, and then I'm going to have this. And I've got a Rusher to be able to test for a freezing trap a little bit later. It's just going to hurt in the short term here. So I'm going to hit here and buff. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So I'm actually dead to hero power if I don't do something. If it's a freezing trap, I'm in trouble. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and play this. And then hope that there's not a freezing trap. There's not. Okay.
Hope you don't have two left feet.
Keep on panning.
This is fine. I'm not going to have a board left, but I am still going to be able to make this play. It's going to give me a big taunt and another big minion on the board. I think it should be fine. He does still have a 2-mana Huffer in hand when he wants it. Maybe well, I don't have the weapon anymore. I was going to say maybe I played this because it has charge just to remove the Leok. This is actually adding up to be a lot of damage now. So if this doesn't die, I'll actually be able to give it lifesteal and get a big heal. He's likely going to be more looking to set up lethal than trading. I can even get it an additional buff. Oh, I'm dead. Am I dead? 18? I am dead, wow. This guy's really excited that he won a game with Hunter too, because Hunter's just such a bad class. Man, it all went sideways when they were able to play those 2 5/5s. And both of those on the board at the same time ended up being really good for him.
The forest fights back.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I think this hand is a full keep. I like keeping the Ziliax. I don't know, so many of the druids, they just ramp up, and then I feel like if I play it, that it's going to be, you know, like there will be a Yogg or a Ziliax or some way to be able to remove it. Actually, I mean, man, that's going to be a lot of buffs on this thing, too. Essentially, they could get, like, the New Heights, I think it's called here, the ramp. Just want to get the minion on the board here. No, lifesteal is fine. They're not going to be really pressuring our health total. We have to get the stats on the board. Second one. Oh, this thing. Draw a card. They still haven't ramped yet, so everything's fine. Definitely just want to go ahead and get the buffs down. And if I trade like this, either way I trade, I'm going to be vulnerable to the swipe here, so it's going to do it like this. Turn 5. Turn 6 is going to be swing and then Ziliax. And they actually haven't ramped yet, so I think Ziliax just wins the game here. Could actually play this first. That's going to let me remove the most amount of minions. Actually, I guess it's the same, and it keeps this healthier.
Light guide my
Would I be
agents.
trading? Does the base damage matter? It's gonna go to 8. How much does the health on this matter? This goes to 5.
The answer is here.
I'm gonna play the rune pack first. No, I'm not.
I strike.
Why am I overthinking this so much? Somebody help me. Somebody save me from myself. I feel like this game is just like a win. It's a foregone conclusion, and I'm like roping turn 5. And I think my line of reasoning was stupid. Like, why wouldn't I swing first to get an extra buff on the rune pack? And at the end of the day, they're at 5 mana, and I've got an 8/10 double Ziliax coming down the following turn. Now the 10 armor here makes a difference, but the rune pack is still on the board. So this is actually going to be a 10/12. I'm definitely going to, oh, they freeze. Okay, that's fair. They're not going to be freezing this, though, unless they have another one.
I strike.
35. Yeah, if I trade for the minion, it's actually still lethal through a hero power. Maybe they have another freeze, but this should just be it.
Can't win them all.
They can't beat the Ziliax, man. That's why I like keeping Ziliax against Druid. I almost talked myself out of it in the mulligan. But it's one of those things where it's just silly to not keep it in your hand. Druid's never going to be taking the board and pressing your health total early on. They're more looking to ramp and draw cards. So you can keep more expensive stuff in the mulligan and not get punished for it. Whereas against like Death Knight, I feel like if you keep cards like that, potentially you can just find yourself with nothing to do, and then you get run over by a bunch of small minions early.
I make my own.
I stand for friends.
Rouges, however. Anything can happen at any time. Ziliax, Unity, Precision, 2 big bodies. Yeah. You know, I feel like I'm only half paying attention to the voiceover of the new Ziliax. I don't even know what he says now. I think, yesterday I thought I knew what he was saying, but I'm only half paying attention. I just remember Unity, Precision, Perfection, I think was the original, right? Or is that wrong, too? Oof. I'm always slightly nervous on the inside when I have both of these. Yeah. Oh man, I almost want to buff here first. But I'm gonna draw the weapon and then likely just equip the weapon next turn. Coin out the weapon, start buffing stuff. Gonna have a toy captain. Sometimes I feel like I want to save the coin for the toy captain, though. Being able to get out 2 big minions a turn earlier can make a difference. Action-packed perfection? Maybe a backstab. The backstab. Yeah, see? Again, the good thing about this deck is at least this guy's going to get buffed, so at some point it's just going to be a big 2-mana minion. And again, I go out of my way to try to make sure I grab the one that I drew with the instrument tech, so that way they don't know I have the second weapon. If people are paying attention, it'll change the way they play because they're thinking about, you know, you don't have a weapon equipped. They don't know that you have the weapon. Maybe they don't play around deckhand as much. Things like that.
I strike.
Right, we definitely swing, and I feel like I don't know exactly what the best play is with this deck. Do I want to forge this guy, or just go ahead and get stats on the board? And I think it's actually just stats, right? Another body. So I've got Toy Captain the next turn.
Feel that healing beat.
It's got to be the tempo play rather than the hand buff play. Drawing weapon with tech in hand never gets old? Yeah. Is this Giant's Rogue quick pick in that location seem like a lot of draw? I have no idea. I don't know what rogues are playing. I don't see very many of them. And again, just having come back to the game recently after a year-long break, I haven't necessarily done the diligence with... Yeah, see how that works out? I'm going to swing, then I'm going to have 2-7. Oh man, I spoke too soon. Oh, I didn't speak too soon. They wasted a backstab.
I strike.
Give me that head. So I don't know what decks are out there or what cards are in the deck. I'm kind of learning as I go. I should probably, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but if there's a Vicious Syndicate report today, I should take a look at it, try to figure out what's going on. The heck is going on around here? Sometimes I feel like the Vicious Syndicate report shapes the meta more so than reports on what the meta is. It's kind of like a chicken and the egg, what came first? Because supposedly they're looking at the data from like the last 7 days. So, I'm assuming they take the spell, the combo that's going to kill a minion. But it just, yeah, it just doesn't matter. Unless there's some kind of, like, new rogue OTK. They're just dead next turn. They are dead, right?
I strike.
Step this.
Is that lethal? They're not dead? How can they not be dead, dude? What are you talking about, one off? What are you talking about, one off?
I smell gold in their water.
Again, I'm just going for the tempo play rather than, like, forge. I mean, I could have played this and just hit him in the face for 7. It puts a 7-6 on the board. Maybe that's a misplay here. Is that the card draw amulet? I have seen this card before, at least. The report is out. Summary states Druid dominates. I don't see how Druid can dominate unless people just get too bored playing hand buff Paladin. Like, this deck destroys Druids. What? Not enough, man, because now I got mana. Shadow Step. You got nothing.
I strike.
You're gonna love the way you look.
Hit him with the Ramalama Ding Dong. Yeah, I don't see how Druid can dominate. What fake amulet did you get? I didn't even notice. I just knew I had lethal. I feel like, I've seen that card played a couple of times, and I feel like the one that they tend to take is, draw 3 cards, and then the fake amulet that you get draws 3, but you only keep 1 or something like that. Hand buff Paladin and the new Death Knight deck is also OP in this meta. What's the new Death Knight deck, Chaos? Is that the Corpse Sickle Druid, or is there something even newer than that?
Leave me alone.
I stand for friends of the light.
Against Demon Hunter? I don't like any of this. I'm assuming it's Pirate Demon Hunter. So keeping something like Ziliax is just asking for trouble. I want like Audio Medic. Instrument Tech. Yeah, Medic is good. And... oh, yeah, the Outfitter. Yeah, so I'll remove this next turn for the Rushing Audio Medic.
My world itches for more.
One that uses buttons. This one was the one that abuses the new location. Yeah, the location is insane. Horizon's Edge. Just really, really good. Corpse Sickle, but now with Razzle Dazzler. Spell School one. I have to remove this. Like, I can't just leave this up on the board. And then next turn, it could be these guys, assuming he survives. The thing is, though, this might be the one that actually needs to be removed.
That was sick. That was
Feel
sick.
that healing beat.
Relax.
That was sick.
Because I can play this on 3, and then weapon on 4 to be able to remove that guy. The Pirate Demon Hunters, the issue I run into is they got that stupid,
To perfection.
so I want to play this. I leave it in hand, it gets buffed. I play it, it's on the board. It really is that simple. Spend mana. You can never go wrong spending mana. Razzle Dazzle fills the board with random 5 costs for each spell school you cast. Siren Song and buttons help achieve that. I got you. So it's the Ziliax that's going to kill our opponent.
I strike.
We get hit for 5, they're getting hit for 3. Oh, I didn't realize it could also double attack every turn. That's not good. I'll be able to remove it next turn. I'm just going to take a bunch of damage here. I wish I had like a plushie. But I am going to have to use a deckhand and an outfit tailor, but I'll still have a 4/4 on the board at least. Yeah. Oh, but they got a 5/5 with taunt. So I actually think I'm dead. Only 4 mana. Wow. 3. It's gonna be 4.
That was sick.
Here. For you. This guy's only 4 attack.
Running out of time.
That was sick. That was sick.
This guy likes to emote.
That was sick.
And that Ziliax was really good. If I'd had a Tiger plushie in hand earlier to be able to get it some buffs, it wouldn't have been an issue. But I just didn't have the cards to be able to deal with it. Even having like the Toy Keeper, an unbuffed Toy Keeper, turned it into a 3/7 would have reduced the attack back down and kind of reset it a little bit. Would have been good. Just didn't have anything in my hand to be able to deal with that situation.
The Lich King!
Here's a Death Knight now.
On cold wind.
I stand for friends of the light.
Good hand though.
The light wins, but we fight.
Nice top deck to help us spend some mana. Maybe now you get to see the Razzle Dazzler, man. I kind of hope I don't get to see the Razzle Dazzle. Razzle Dazzle sounds like it'd be bad news for me. Pretty sure I just buff here. They go ahead and bump one of these guys. So they'll make this trade. I think in the early game. So right now their Reska is at 16. So again, I'm going to have that play where I quit this, turn 5, draw a bunch of cards, and then buff them. It's 15, 13. Reska is now going to be at 12.
I strike.
I don't care about the 1/1. Alright, so Reska is 12 mana. I'm actually using this for face damage, which is interesting. I'm going to play this first and then swing because I'm going to get a lot more buffs if I draw first. Reska's still at 12. $11. Yalga's clutch for a removal turn. I feel like I missed something. What did I say? He was at 11, and now he's at 9. Rest of their hammer. Seven. I don't think he'll be able to play Reska next turn, but the turn after he will.
Accidents, they happen, you know?
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. And I'm just gonna go ahead. Alright, so next turn, Reska could come down at any time, but I've got. That's already 16 damage, and I've got a weapon to continue to buff. So potentially I've got a 2-turn lethal. We'll have to see what happens. I can even go like this and buff with this guy, just the 1/1, and get a 5/7 on the board. Full clear. So yeah,
I strike.
weapon plus this guy. Got 24. Plus I can play this to remove a taunt. Oh yeah, so that's why they're playing this, because it's a nature spell. That would buff the Dazzler, right?
Magical might in the spotlight.
Looks like they're just dying though. Dark Jackal. I don't think you have enough health there, Dark Jackal.
Strike.
Oh man, insult to injury, we draw the other one. You always gotta finish with Leroy. Leroy! It's interesting, that deck has to play Frozen Decor. I think I'm calling the card right. It's the Shaman card that summons the 2/4s that give 4 armor. It's got a 4 armor death rattle.
Ariel versus Uther.
Dodge the Dazzler.
With honor.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
We got a potential mirror match here. Could also be the other paladin that plays like Crusader Aura and just tries to flood the board. Which I feel like, you know, we have so many ways to be able to remove and big minions and whatnot. I'm not a tempo deckhand kind of guy with this deck. Gonna buff first. This on 3, weapon on 4.
I smell gold in them there waters.
Yeah, so it looks like this is gonna be a mirror match, in which case I feel like going first is good, and I feel like we're a little bit ahead, at least at this point. Okay, so it's not.
I strike.
So I want to remove as many minions as I can here. Like, I don't want him to play a Crusader Aura and start getting a bunch of buffs. I do have ways to be able to remove. I need to keep the board population small. The board population small.
I strike.
I'm gonna do this. I want to hit this guy. These are guaranteed to die. Even if they get buffs, they'll remove stuff on my side, but they won't get to stick around for a following turn.
I smell gold in them there waters.
Let's see. I want to make sure I don't want to play into Prismatic Beam too hard either. So what if I just made this guy really big so that he sticks around with the outfit tailor? I was thinking about playing these, but then he can like bump. Prismatic Beam is gonna really hurt my entire board, and especially like if they had those 3/3 rushers.
I'm running out of time.
So I'm gonna play this a little bit differently than I've played other matchups.
The way you look.
Let's see how it works. I haven't played this particular matchup all that much. Learning on the fly. Paladin feels like an underrepresented class on the ladder, given the power level of the decks. Because I would assume that, like, this version of Paladin would absolutely destroy Druid. Like, no question, destroy Druid. Again, I'm just kind of worried about a Crusader aura. I think I swing, like, kill this, buff these, and then play both of them, and I can trade for this guy safely.
I strike.
Hit down a couple of 4/4s. It seems fine, right? And still push non-damage face.
Bedazzling!
We still draw a card. Like, he almost needs the combo just to be able to clear my board, and he doesn't have a whole lot left. Oh, he has the 8/8. I mean, I think I've got too much. I'm overwhelming him. I've faced Blood Paladin more than Hand Buff Paladin. It's just not that threatening, this particular moment. 4, 5. Got the taunt. Only at 6, so kill this guy. Down the taunt. And this rusher. Then I can draw a bunch of cards and buff them with this. One thing I have to keep in mind, though, this is the second weapon, so if I'm going to use this with charge, it's going to have to be soon. Maybe I just use it to remove the big boy here. Because it looks like I'm a couple turns off from being able to kill him at this point.
Reporting for duty.
The toy store belongs to the Titan.
Oh man, you got a couple of little guys. That's sad. A nice pickup. Let's see, 5. Well, if I play this, then I can't play this as well. So I can go Rune Thack and the Deckhand.
I strike.
Toys are much more fun to bring.
On shield, that's interesting.
The Arian is slain.
Repair. I'm running out of time.
Rallying cry.
I think I'm way overthinking this. Again, please, somebody save me from myself. I'm overthinking this. I should just kill him. Second combo? Both combos in the top half of his deck, by the way. Both combos, top half of his deck. Faces the place. Yeah, that's right, man. Give me that head. And he's actually just dead here.
I strike.
Almost done goofed and through, man. That'd be bad. That'd be bad, okay? It's so weird, man. Like, I feel like the times when I overthink the most is the easiest possible turns. The most straightforward, easy turn. And I'm like chewing my fingernails. What do I do? What do I do? And starts to run away with me with all these unrealistic scenarios. Dominant class in Hearthstone.
I must protect the wild.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
I'm so unlucky. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because this might be the game I get absolutely blown out by this deck. The last couple of times I faced Druid, I feel like it was ramp Druid that didn't draw their ramp. That, I'm sure, make the report and do a little deep dive into it, because I feel like ramp Druid is probably bad. Maybe Concierge Druid is the deck that's supposed to be the dominant deck. Because even Dragon Druid... This is just a familiar line of play. I feel like I do this a lot of games. Maybe I'm actually high rolling and getting really lucky with my draw. And equip the weapon. Ramp. Yeah, so they've hit ramp once.
To perfection.
Almost missed 2 damage. So I want to play this one. More ramps, and now they've ramped twice. So I feel like this is already significantly better than we've seen the last few times. Dragon Druid is apparently strongest. Concierge surprisingly took a big hit from just the 1-mana nerf. Interesting. So Dragon Druid is the strong. We're probably going to see it right here. No idea what they run in ETC either. Face. And then buff and get down a bigger size guy. To play the Tailor.
Light guide my patience.
And this. Kind of feel like I need any kind of charger that can go face here. I'm kind of looking for more of like this big boy option.
You're gonna love the way you look.
Feel that. Here's me.
Let's try to get big minions on the board. This actually sets up lethal. I'm pretty sure that they can remove some stuff, but if not, it's just lethal. Alright, so there's going to be card draw or mana. Nope, I was right the first time. And then a taunt.
I concede.
Oh, baby! And then a concede! Draw on and then concede. I gotta remember that line. Versus Shaman.
I bring the fury of the elements.
I stand for Friends of the Light.
Have I played one of these? I don't think I've played one today. Is it Pirates? Is it, Yeah, I'm still just not a tempo deckhand kind of guy. Some kind of... Well, it's not Pirates. I don't think Pirate plays that. Question is, do I need to remove it? Or do I just want to draw? Look at this, man. I got both deckhands, and I've got a weapon. So I can just coin this weapon next turn. If I play this guy, he probably trades, but if I do this, I'm guaranteed to get an additional minion in hand for next turn when I start the buff. Sure as the world, if I don't play this, I top deck Painter's Virtue, and then I'm just like partially sad. I don't want to afford to be even partially sad. Maybe a little bit of a punish for not removing it. Not super worried about it though, base even. Because like next turn I can swing, I can move it. Zero power's a slow turn. They actually had double buff. It's going to be a bit harder to remove than I would like.
I strike.
I hold off. Like I can... like this. A little bit unfortunate there.
I strike.
Next turn, probably just equip and then get the audio medic out. Yeah, so the medic is going to be able to remove. I could swing into this guy and then remove the Titan on the other side. And I'm going to be buffing the Leroy here as well. Back to full health, no shortage of damage. Should be looking pretty good here. 16, 26, I've got 28. Taunt.
I strike.
You're gonna
I'm gonna go ahead and do this just to spin out of here.
reporting for duty.
I'm gonna have to play these guys. Otherwise I'm not gonna get the charge out of them. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it does happen from time to time. Honestly, I don't know that there's any reason to actually use the weapon swing in this particular case either, just at this moment. I don't like being forced to play these guys, but he has to deal with them now too. Still have 13 in hand, potentially. almost want to Yogg. Force all this stuff to attack itself. How likely is it that it clears my own board, though? The only play I have. We're going for it. Oh, this died. And that didn't work out at all. So at this point, I'm hoping that my opponent just doesn't have a lot of good cards in their hand. Right here. Good enough.
Wait, I'm rich!
My hand is too full.
Man. Hearthstone's killing me on this one. Okay.
Reporting for duty.
Open your minds to the light. Get your own pan! Keep on panning!
This is just ugly now.
To battle!
Alright, we're going full in on the Yogg random stuff then.
I strike.
Strike a pose!
Nice. Pass turn so I can kill you. Please.
To battle!
Leroy!
Let's do this!
Alright, well, so it looks like I'm actually having some connection issues here with YouTube, so I am going to call that the end of the stream. I'm glad to be back. I'm enjoying Hearthstone, and you can look forward to seeing some new content on my channel, live streams, videos. Gonna just get back into it. So thank you again, and good luck out on the ladder.